All right, welcome to episode 6 of the Look Back. We're talking Star Trek Discovery Lethe. I'm David Duncan, and with me is Michelle Cromwell.
Hello.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, last week we got carried away with Vok and Laurel and babies, and we forgot to talk about some important things.
Some very important things.
We missed the whole tardigrade thing. It got dried up, and then it sucked water from space somehow, and it filled itself up.
That was pretty cool.
And then Stamets took the spore drive for a spin, because it literally does spin, apparently.
Yeah, that was actually kind of cool. I like the way the ship spins. It delights me every time it does that. You don't even know. It's driving my husband completely out of his mind. Well, like, it moves.
I just think it's weird that it just, like, after it spins, it just drops, like, 20, 30 meters.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of weird, that downward motion.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works. I really want to know how it works more, but we're probably never going to figure that out.
They've got to give us the plot where it gets decommissioned, because it never appears anywhere else in canon, guys.
It's never going to get decommissioned.
It has to.
There's other options.
Well, I think it's going to get relegated to Section 31, honestly.
Really? You don't think they're going to end up self-destructing?
No, I think the technology gets relegated to Section 31, because I think that's how Sloane makes booty calls to Bashir's quarters.
Oh, here I am.
Oh, hi, Bashir. Did you want to join Section 31 now?
I really need to watch Deep Space Nine again.
Especially the Section 31 episodes. Those are great. Also, last week, we didn't talk about...
Saru and Burnham kind of had a peace treaty, and she gave him the telescope.
Which I thought was kind of funny, and I was kind of waiting. I was like waiting for him to be like, "Oh no, she gave this to you. You should keep it." And he was like, "Nope, thanks. See ya."
I think he thought about doing it, but then he realized that she would never take it back. So what was the point? Because he kind of like opened his mouth and then he closed it and then he said thank you.
That didn't really register with me. I just thought.
And I mean, like, let's just face it. Not for nothing, they live in the same house. Okay, if she wants it, she can just go over to his room and knock on the door and be like, "I need to use the telescope."
That's true. So yeah,
It's not like he can go anywhere.
That's true. And then they always get on the same away mission somehow.
Always. I think Lorca's just doing that to torment Saru. I was actually thinking about why, because Lorca has a hand-picked crew, right?
Yeah.
But he has Saru as his second in command.
That makes no... It
makes no sense unless he's doing it just, because he thinks it's funny.
He probably does. He thinks he can probably just do what he wants with Saru, because Saru will back down. It's like he can do whatever he wants.
And also his reactions are kind of the best. Oh, I have the two boys doing their toothbrush scene, and he's told to stop doctoring. And then they do that freaky double guy in the mirror.
Which they never... I mean, like, we might be in the mirror universe at the end of episode 9, but we don't really know.
Yeah, but Mirror Guy has never shown up again. Who is Mirror Guy? What is it? What?
Well, I mean, Discovery's been doing that a lot to us. We had the Black Badge in episode 3, which we've never seen again. Mm-hmm. And then we've had the Mirror in episode 5, which we've never seen again.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping they'll finally get back to the... Because I don't think they're doing anything by accident on Discovery. Everything, I think, has a reason. And so we're waiting to find out what that is. But that was just stuff we forgot to talk about last week because we got so excited talking about Klingon babies and, and half Klingon babies and Vok and Ash and all that fun stuff. We're going back to Lethe, because this is this week's episode. And what did you see anything new that stuck out to you with Lethe now that we've seen the first chapter of Discovery?
Yes, I did. And it was something that, like, I know that sometimes people start saying things that are really important and then somebody interrupts them, but this one seemed like it was really important. And it happened after Lorca tells the Vulcans to piss off and that they're going to go get Sarek anyway.
I love it. He just hangs up on him. He's like, yeah.
That was so funny.
Tell Vulcan we'll clean up their problem.
And then the ambassador was all like, I think he was upset.
I love how Lorca can make a Vulcan upset. That is
I
fantastic.
know. That was really funny. When they talk about the Katra and they were talking to Stamets and they talked about linking all of consciousness like a web, like roots that are spreading out, and it sounded exactly like when he was talking about the spore drive. So my question is Stamets actually going to evolve into someone that can travel through every possibility that there is without the use of the spore drive because he figures out how to tap into the Katra?
Is this also because have you seen the theory that Stamets might be the Traveler?
I've seen that, but I think the Traveler works differently, and plus, like, so what exactly would have happened to Stamets' hands? Like,
How they just merge into like these
I
weird
know, I'm
elephant
all like,
hands?
Traveler has like 2 fingers on each. No.
Well, maybe he learns how to change his shape. He appears as different things.
I suppose, but that would be the one that he appears as. Really?
Someone who looks like he's got almost zero manual dexterity.
Yeah. And
Don't know
like,
what you could do with hands like that.
yeah, and also the fact that I'm pretty sure the way that they had the prosthetic done on the Traveler's face, it actually impeded their vision.
Probably.
So it's like, I really don't buy that so much because I honestly think that the Traveler is from a species of alien and that happens to be what they look like. And I don't think that all of them are Travelers.
Oh, because Wesley's a Traveler.
Right. So, and if they ever do another thing again and they bring him back, I don't think they're going to have Wesley like have prosthetics on his face.
Maybe that's the cost of traveling.
I know, he shows up with Q. Picard just has a fucking stroke. It's all over.
It's over, man. Game over. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that theory holds a lot of water. I just thought it was kind of funny, and what you're saying, how he can travel consciousness to him, like maybe the Traveler can do that, because the Traveler did help pull Beverly out of like some other dimension that she thought was in her mind or something. That was kind of weird.
Yeah, that just really stuck out to me because Lorca like immediately interrupted him.
So we have literally no time to discuss the metaphysics of this situation.
Yeah. Uh-huh. That is exactly what happened. And like they kind of made it sound like he was sort of babbling because he was high on spore juice or whatever we're going to call that these days.
It's like a psychic shot of speed, and Michael was like, I thought you were adrenaline is what I was thinking, but yeah, sure.
Did they still have speed then? Really?
Apparently.
Really? I am kind of disturbed.
Stamets
Also,
says all about that
chief
speed.
engineer has experience with speed.
Well, he is like dating a doctor.
That's very true.
Doctor probably knows how to make that speed.
Yeah,
Dr.
that's
Culber
true.
is a speed addict.
There are also plenty of medical reasons, that you need to take methamphetamine. So, yeah, there is that, in case he's had something where he just happens to have had it in the past. But I just kind of thought it was something that was very modern in an era where you wouldn't think to find it in the same form that we do today. You know what I mean?
That's true. Maybe Cordrazine can't fix everything.
Mm.
Well, one of the things that stuck out to me, speaking of that scene, is that Stamets says the ship will blow up if they enter the nebula. Why? Like, if they use the spore drive in the nebula, sure, but why would just entering the nebula make the ship explode? Like that just...
Apparently...
I mean, if the mycelial network goes through all of space, wouldn't the mycelial network go through nebulas? Or does it always go around nebulas? Because that's kind of weird sounding to me, that...
I don't know. They kind of made it sound like whatever atmosphere that they would find in that nebula would, at least the way it sounded to me was that it would just automatically make all of the spores explode, just turn into a bomb. They just couldn't handle it, kablooey.
Can mushrooms combust? Is that a thing?
I don't know.
That's so many things about that seems far-fetched to me.
I've seen mushrooms do some crazy things, but I've never seen them combust.
And the thing is, like, they're stored in those canisters. I mean, I know they have their farm, but the thing is, they're in the ship's atmosphere.
Yeah.
They're not out. I don't know.
Are they trying to say that the Enterprise isn't, or that the Discovery isn't completely sealed? Is kind of my worry. And well, is that what you're trying to tell me? Is that nothing on here is completely sealed, and that the gas outside will get inside no matter what you do?
That's
Is that what I'm hearing?
that's what it sounds like. Because why? I mean, you've got how would the gases of the nebula mix with the spores unless you're doing a spore jump? I mean, but if you're just going impulse or whatever the nebula, I mean, is it all nebulas or is it just that nebula where they would blow up? Because that's gonna limit discovery in the future.
It's very inconvenient.
That's gonna limit discovery in the future. Because I mean, there's always a nebula in Star Trek that they have to fly through or do something.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Because they're on a space station most of the time. But I mean, there's nebulas in Voyager, and Next Gen, and all sorts of things.
Yeah, everywhere.
Nebulas.
All over the place. So, I don't know. Maybe that's why it's more like a web. Maybe that's why it's a web, because it has to go around things.
Maybe. I don't know. I just thought that was a strange line. I also found it strange that there's Vulcan extremists now. It's been 100 years since Enterprise, give or take a few years. I would have thought meeting humans in first contact and sending humans to Earth all the time to help guide them, through the warp technology would have sparked some of that. Why all of a sudden now, 100 years later, is there some kind of revolution to get rid of humans on Vulcan? I'm just like, I assume there's been brochures and travel magazines made of vacationing to Vulcan. It's been 100 years. Space travel's normal by now. So...
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like that. I mean, every time we've seen Vulcan, all we've ever seen are academies and homes and caverns. So, I mean, would they even be interested in tourist industry? What would you see on Vulcan? You would have no reason to be there. I mean, to them, it would be illogical to let humans on the planet because there's nothing there for them to see. There's nothing there for them to do. They would just be a bother and a disruption at the academies if they showed up. So
they're part of the Federation. There's got to be some kind of back and forth between.
Well, yeah, there's probably like an embassy.
Sure.
There's got to be an embassy, but maybe they just don't. Maybe they're only allowed at the embassy. They can beam in and out. It's not like they need to drive through town for anything.
Yeah. I don't know.
Only certain people are allowed out. The Vulcans are really xenophobic.
As we learned in this episode, they are extremely xenophobic to the point where they're going to inject themselves and blow themselves up as an act of terrorism.
It's weird. Yeah.
I was like, what? Why didn't just Sarek put a shield around the guy so he could just blow up inside the shield instead of putting a shield around himself? That way the ship doesn't get damaged.
Or, duck behind the control panel that he was standing next to.
Something.
That was fairly undamaged by the explosion.
Yeah, just Sarek got a chunk of metal in his side.
Yeah. Poor Sarek.
And I just kind of thought it was kind of funny that she can feel his pain, and so she starts crying out in the mess hall when she's trying to shake Ash Tyler's hand.
Did you notice the green juice that they were drinking in the mess hall?
Yes, because I think the green juice is what the Klingons, the actors who played the Klingons, they couldn't eat solid food. So because they couldn't eat solid, because their makeup, all the prosthetics and the makeup, they weren't allowed to eat solid food because it would mess up the makeup. So they had green smoothies that they drank, and I'm like, why did he bring his Klingon smoothie? It's more evidence that he's a Klingon. Just had to bring that up.
Seriously. The green juice looks like Vulcan blood to the point it was kind of disturbing. I'm all like, I don't even understand how Michael can sit here and look at that.
Maybe that's what reminded her of...
I don't even know. Maybe it is. Maybe it was her, thing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But
I didn't even think about it, that being the color of Vulcan blood.
Yeah, she felt pain, she hit the ground, and then she found herself in a Vulcan dream, where Sarek was really grouchy with her for being there.
Yeah, and it seemed at first that he was calling out to her with the my mind to your mind, and then
yeah,
Vulcan ninjas her out of his dream about her.
I can kind of get that because, like, if you were near the end, Ash is right. You think about all the things that you regret. But if he's trying to actually tell her something, what if he's trying to call her, but he can't stop the bad memories from coming? So he calls her, and then the bad memories are there, and he realizes he's in the bad memory, and he keeps trying to call her into a different place, but that just happens to be the one that keeps showing up.
I don't know.
Because he can't help himself, because he keeps thinking about her.
I don't think that's the case because he's like, what are you doing here? This is my mind. Get out.
Yeah, that's true.
He's very angry about her being there. And I'm like, well, maybe you shouldn't have shared your Katra with her and given her your healing factor, like Wolverine. I was like, that's kind of weird. They're making up all this new stuff about the Katra. Like, so, like, what does that mean for Bones? Because Bones didn't get part of Spock's Katra. He got the entire thing.
He's just not talking about it. He's so grouchy, he's not telling anybody.
Maybe that's how Bones was able to live so long in the future. In Next Gen, it looks like he's falling apart, as they're walking him through the corridor in the encounter at Farpoint.
God, yeah, they really got carried away. It's kind of like, really, guys? Come on.
And the thing is, like, every time they old age somebody, they do it so wrong. Because, William Shatner looks way better now than when they old aged him in TOS. Whenever they old age Patrick Stewart in a couple different episodes, and All Good Things, and in the one with the flute. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Like, when they old aged him in those episodes, like, he's like, and now he's that 20 years older, and he looks fine.
He looks better than he did back then.
I don't know if he looks better, but he looks better than the old age makeup. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it might just be like, I don't know. He just seems more confident to me, and confidence generally tends to make you look younger. Also, he just married a girl in her 30s, so I'm sure she keeps him on his toes.
I'm sure.
Oh, Ash and Lorca playing laser tag.
Yeah, that did the laser thing didn't really bother me. People were screaming for blood that it was a holodeck, and I'm like, no, you saw those little pylons. It was like a simulation. It was like a battle simulator.
Yeah,
it didn't seem like it was super advanced. And then TAS, the animated series, you see a holodeck type thing in that series, so it's not like it's impossible that there's holograms. Yeah.
But also, they're on a science vessel. They'd have access to stuff that nobody else does.
That's true. All the new tech.
All the experimental tech. Maybe something goes wrong, and it's why they can't use it for another 100 years or so.
That's true.
But
then again, holodecks always went wrong 100 years in the future, too, so...
Yeah. Oh, Michael is the breakfast police. Poor Tilly! She's like, I just ran around this ship 10 times. Now I got somebody here policing my burrito. What the hell?
Michael just wants to make everyone as miserable as she is.
I know. God, dude. Seriously, give the girl her salsa.
I love how, like, the replicators, oh, this is a great source of this, a great source of that. And I'm like, what if you ordered a pizza? Would it yell at you? Or like, this is a great source of fat and grease.
I know, it's all like, we've given you a cauliflower crust. What the hell? And vegan cheese. What? No meat for you ever.
I do want to see Tilly order a pizza and I have Michael ruin it. That would be great. Next episode, make it happen.
Yeah, Tilly finally loses it. No!
No, it's a white crust, it's real tomato sauce, and it's a meat lover's pizza.
God, now I want a pizza. Do you think that Discovery knew that Sarek was injured before the Vulcans did?
Oh yeah, because of Michael.
Right, but do you think that they're the ones that contacted the Vulcans, or the Vulcans are the ones that contacted them?
I'm pretty sure he called the Vulcans. I think the Vulcans just corroborated the story.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like they knew. Well, I mean, maybe they found that more or less at the same time. Whenever the ship didn't reach the destination, because Sarek was like, "Yeah, we should be there."
Well, I was just wondering if Michael was still disoriented at that point, and they didn't actually know.
We don't get a whole. I mean, I assume
it is not
she
clear
woke up
in
really
my
quick.
notes.
I assume she woke up really quick because Tilly was there. Tilly was there.
Gosh, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm reading everything wrong.
And in the sick bay, she comes through pretty quick.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I mean, Lorca has enough time to get to the bridge to the sick bay, and that's about all it takes for her to wake back up.
He goes to the bridge, to the sick bay, to the telephone, to hanging up on the Vulcans.
Oh yes.
So like, hello, no, click.
So Stamets builds her a psychic, like an electronic mind meld, which I thought was kind of interesting. Like they build this stuff really fast
Yes, they do.
for like experimental technology. It's like, oh, I don't know what this is. Oh, we'll just build
Well,
this.
apparently that's why he's head of engineering on an experimental science vessel.
But I don't know if he's really the chief engineer. He's in charge of the spore drive, but we don't know who.
I thought he was a chief engineer.
I think he's a scientist. He's not really an engineer.
Oh, okay. I thought that's why he was cocky all the time.
Well, we haven't met the chief engineer because, I mean, someone's got to be in charge of the warp drive.
Right. Well,
Because they do use the warp drive, twice in the series?
Maybe they're replacing it with something. Maybe this one runs off something completely different.
I don't know. But we have seen it go to warp at least twice in the series so far.
Yeah, but does the warp drive technology change? Because I know that in the last episode of The Next Generation, somebody goes into warp and it's higher than the Enterprise can go throughout the rest of the Next Generation. So did they make the technology better or did they change technology?
Well, warp 13. Well,
Yeah.
supposedly in Voyager, warp 10 is the fastest you can go, but I think the scale
Apparently not anymore.
I think the scale changes, but
Okay.
it still works with matter, antimatter, or maybe it was a slipstream drive. They didn't really say. They just said warp 13 a whole lot and all good things.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting that Lorca, whenever they're getting the shuttle ready, he goes up to Ash Tyler and is like, make sure she comes home safe.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's like, oh, the ship. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's fine. It's like, no, I'm talking about her. Like, Lorca is so protective of Michael, and I don't know if we've been given the answer to why he's so protective of her yet. And, like, of course he's taking in Ash, and he offered him that promotion to become his chief security officer, but the fact that he is definitely choosing Michael over him as far as safety goes, it's really weird. Mm-hmm. And I just want to know what Lorca's connection to her is.
Do you think it has to do with her way of just shutting off emotions and becoming completely logical at times when other people would be emotionally compromised?
Well, the only clue I have is that in Context is for Kings, he tells her that he likes the way she thinks, that she is universal laws for lackeys, context is for kings, and she acts in context to what's happening and not just following the rules rigidly. But sure, she's a free thinker, but I feel like there's got to be more than that. Just she's a free thinker and she can think outside the box. I mean, maybe that's all it is, but with Lorca, I feel like there needs to be more.
Yeah.
So we learned that Sarek is extremely unhappy about his decision because Spock doesn't use the advantage he was given and goes to Starfleet anyway. Yeah. And that's why he was having that dream. She talks him into letting her wake him up, and he sends out the transponder, and they get back to the ship, where Lorca and Admiral Cromwell are doing it.
My notes here are amazing. Because she's like, they go from the Admiral losing her crap and saying that Discovery is the most technologically advanced ship in the entire fleet, to Lorca being all like, oh, well, pish posh, why should we be talking about that when we could be hubba hubba? And like, she's all like, okay, and she just takes the communicator off. Why? Okay, besides the fact that it's Jason Isaacs.
Well, they clearly had a past.
Right, but I mean, the jacket's going to come off. Why take the communicator off the jacket? What if they switch communicators? What if somebody, pages the Admiral later and it's on Lorca's chest?
Well, it's TOS. They have the flip communicators. That's just your
Oh,
badge.
gosh, that's right. God, I'm so used to that now.
Well, the thing is, it always comes off. Like Harry Kim, whenever he's sleeping with the alien lady, he throws it off. Like it's just the thing. It's like you gotta throw away the badge. You gotta throw away what makes you Starfleet.
Is it like symbolic where you're all like, well, I'm off, toss?
Exactly. It's like, I'm off the clock. We're not Admiral and Captain. We're just a man and a woman in mad embraces.
I know. Yeah. Lorca's magic dick foo. He's like the master of distraction. He's all like, well, did you know that I could have sex while you're, being mad and wasting time?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
She wakes him up by touching his scar on his back. He puts a phaser in her face, and she's like, I'm taking your ship away.
I'm kind of half and half on that one.
What
Because,
part?
like, okay, he kind of did stay there a little too long with the phaser in her face.
Like he was thinking about
But,
it.
yeah, seriously, he's all like, fuck, I may have to shut you up. But, like, even if you are totally functional in your day-to-day life, sleeping with somebody with any type of form of post-traumatic stress disorder can be hazardous. I have post-traumatic stress disorder. I take medication. Most of the time, I'm completely on top of my stuff. Occasionally, I will have a nightmare, and I'll wake up just socking the pillow next to me. And, like, God help me if Mark's there.
Oh, yeah.
Things happen in your sleep that don't happen in regular life.
Yeah.
And it is a military vessel, and he is a captain, and he is in the most technologically advanced ship in the fleet in Klingon space. Shouldn't he have a phaser nearby when he's sleeping?
I would think so. I think he's perfectly justified in him sleeping with one eye open.
I mean, I can understand her freaking out, but can you imagine her reporting that to Starfleet? Well, when I was having sex with Captain Lorca, he pulled a phaser on me. So I took his ship away. It's nothing personal.
That would be a really interesting report to read.
I want a copy of that report. I don't think it's much to ask for.
After all that business is done, Sarek is back.
He is.
They have a little heart-to-heart talk that he doesn't want to commit to. And then
Yeah.
Michael meets Lorca, and Lorca's like, I've got a position for you on the bridge. Like, finally! Why didn't you give her a position on the bridge episodes ago?
Because he didn't think he'd be able to get away with it, and now he actually thinks that she has proven herself to the point where people aren't going to question him as much, maybe?
Maybe. But this was like something he did specifically for her, rescuing Sarek. That's the only reason he did it, was because he wanted to, support her. And then she came through with it, even though it wasn't anything that he cared about. He really did it to get her on his side more, so that whenever his inevitable court-martial comes, that she can defend him.
Yeah, that's true. It also kind of makes me wonder if it ties into that whole being amused by Saru on the bridge thing.
Oh, yeah. That'd be hilarious if she replaces him as first officer. He gets bumped back down to second.
I don't think I honestly think that they're going to put them in a position where they kind of are on the same level and they just butt heads the entire time.
Because they don't butt heads enough already.
I know. Well, I mean, like, honestly, at this point, they're acting like bitchy siblings.
Yeah.
More than like grown adults that don't fully trust each other, because they're honest enough with each other to talk through it every time they have a conflict.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, that definitely is the adult thing to do, but I think you see it more in adult siblings rather than adult coworkers, where things can get really nasty.
Yeah. Yeah, they do have that relationship, which they set up in the first couple episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But anything else stick out to you about Lethe, other than Jason Isaacs sends Cromwell to her inevitable capture, or he probably hopes death?
Oh, yeah. As soon as she's all like, I'm leaving, and he's all like, all right. My first thought was, is she even going to get there? Is he just going to beam her out into space and say, whoops, I missed? I realized that was a terrible thing, but, like, he just sent her over, and it was so cold. I mean, like, it was like, no, and it wasn't even like it was cold. It was like just complete absence of reaction whatsoever. It's kind of like, this is inconvenient. Oh, well, it's not going to be inconvenient anymore. And then, like, it's just dropped for him. Like, there is no more thinking about it. There's no more thinking about her. There's no more thinking about anything.
Everything just works out so perfectly for Lorca.
The problem is gone. Now I can get on with whatever else. And he just kind of, like, forgets about it.
Oh, yeah. He's fine with it. And he tells Saru, yeah, we're just going to follow orders this time, which was great.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, that's our look back on episode 6. Lethe, where can we find you on the social media, Michelle?
You can find me at Michelle Cromwell on Facebook, and you can find me as Tashara Sox, SOX, on Twitter, and you can find us at cromwellscuriosityshop.biz.
All right, and you can find the show at Synthaholic Duo on Twitter and synthaholics.com, and you're already here on our YouTube channel. So thank you all so much for watching. Live long and prosper, one and all.
Bye-bye.